Welcome. Today we're diving into one of the key building blocks of accurate emission reporting in logistics, primary data. With new regulations and growing pressure to decarbonize, understanding what primary data is and how to use it is more important than ever. If we're serious about reducing logistics emissions, we need to start with the data we use to measure them, and that begins with primary data. ISO 14003 defines primary data as values obtained through direct measurement. In practice, that means actual energy or fuel consumption, the mass of freight transported, or the specific distance traveled. But the most critical component is energy data, how much fuel or electricity was used during transport. That's what directly determines emissions, and that's what we want to measure as accurately as possible. Well, for two reasons. First, regulations are increasingly requiring it. ISO 14003 and the existing counter emissions EU regulation both say clearly, use primary data wherever it's available. Second, companies need accurate emissions data to measure real progress on decarbonization. If you're relying on averages or outdated assumptions, you might be missing where the actual emission hotspots are, or opportunities to reduce them.
Primary data stems from transport service operators, or the carriers, because they own, operate the vehicles and ships, and they track energy and fuel directly from the onboard units. But here is the issue. The data doesn't always get shared with the transport service organizers, or simply logistics service providers, or the transport service users or shippers. The challenge is especially big in road freight, which is fragmented and full of SME carriers who may not have the systems or incentives to share the data. Think of it in two parts. First, greenhouse gas emissions are calculated based on actual fuel or energy consumption times the fuel emission factor. So, if you know how many liters of diesel or kilowatt hours of electricity were consumed, that's primary data. Second, transport activity is based on the mass of freight and the distance traveled. These are used then to calculate emission intensity. But it's important to note, energy data is the core of primary emissions data. Distance and mass help with allocation. That's why we say, start with real energy use, that's what really matters. First, start the conversation with your carriers. Request emission intensity values that are ISO 14003 compliant, that reference the latest GLEC framework fuel emission factors, and that are based on primary data. Second, build systems for data collection and exchange. Perfection should not get in the way of progress. Creating a habit of sharing primary data is key. Green freight programs such as Clean Cargo and Clean Air Transport, as well as data exchange protocols such as ILIP, are great tools for enabling the sharing of primary data. And finally, align with the standards. ISO 14003 and the GLEC framework give you the methodology of logistics emissions calculation. Our trainings at Smart Freight Center Academy help you apply that. Primary data isn't just a technical detail. It's essential for credible accounting and real climate action. Without primary data, we're estimating. But with it, we can start to make informed, measurable change in freight decarbonization.